Okay, so you want to own a parking garage? Put a concrete box beside a place people already need to visit, let cars stream through the gate, and collect money every time somebody leaves one behind. No shelves to stock, no food to spoil, no apartments to renovate between tenants. Just painted spaces, an automatic payment system, and a city full of drivers who need somewhere to stop. Now picture yourself standing at the entrance in 2018. The garage is busy, tickets print. Brake lights climb the ramps. By the end of the year, roughly 1,240,000 short-stay drivers have used this one downtown facility, and it has reportedly brought in nearly $16,500,000. Then picture the same entrance 6 years later. The ramps are still there, the spaces have not moved. The machines still accept payment, but the upper levels sit open in the middle of the day. Short-stay traffic has fallen to about 486,000 drivers, and reported revenue or earnings have dropped to just under $7,800,000. No wrecking ball touched the building. So what vanished? That is the question underneath owning a parking garage, because the property looks permanent, while the thing paying for it can disappear by the hour. Before you collect one parking fee, you have to survive buying the rights, carrying the construction cost, keeping the structure safe, choosing which customers get the spaces, and depending on a flow of people that the garage itself does not create. Start with the purchase. You may buy the land and the building outright. You may own only the parking portion of a larger development. You may lease the land underneath it. Or you may buy a concession, which gives you the right to operate the garage, collect the revenue, maintain the structure, and return control when the contract ends. Chicago's Millennium Garages show how large that arrangement can become. 4 underground garages beneath major downtown parks contain more than 9,000 spaces. In 2006, Chicago granted a 99-year concession in exchange for an upfront payment of $563 million. For almost a century, the buyer controls the parking operation and carries the obligations attached to it. But the clock on that ownership started running the day the contract began. The contract can last longer than a career and still end. Whatever paper you sign, the next problem is physical. The structure has to keep carrying cars long after the purchase excitement is gone. There is another distinction hiding inside the ownership question. Some garages are expected to make money on parking by themselves. Others exist mainly to support something more valuable. A standalone downtown garage has to justify its land, construction, and operation through parking income and whatever the property may be worth later. A garage attached to apartments, offices, a hotel, a hospital, or retail may be judged differently. Its direct return can look weak, while the spaces make the larger property easier to lease, visit, finance, or operate. That does not make the parking free. It means the real beneficiary may be upstairs, across the lobby, or on the other side of a covered walkway. So before asking whether a garage is profitable, you have to ask what job it was built to perform. A public garage may also be carrying goals such as access or traffic management that a private standalone owner would not accept. Two facilities can report similar parking revenue and still be judged by completely different standards. A surface lot is land, pavement, lights, drainage, stripes, and an entrance. A structured garage takes that same parking and stacks it upward because the land is too scarce or too valuable to leave flat. Every new level creates more spaces on the same footprint, but each space now depends on foundations, columns, ramps, barriers, stairs, elevators, drainage, lighting, fire systems, cameras, signs, and payment equipment. WGI's parking structure outlook for 2026 put the national median construction cost at roughly $33,300 per space. The real figure can move sharply with location, labor, design, soil, local codes, and whether the garage is underground. A separate estimate prepared for a smaller project in Michigan used about $35,000 in construction costs per space, then added design, engineering, and other soft costs. The total reached roughly $42,000 per space before land. Take a 300-space garage. At that estimate, the project costs $12,600,000 before you buy the site. Walk into one stall before opening day. It looks almost empty, a rectangle of concrete, 2 painted lines, maybe a number on a column. But financially, that one space is carrying part of an elevator, part of a ramp, part of a drainage system, part of a gate, and part of a loan. The owner has spent more than $12 million to build 300 chances for a future driver to arrive. A chance is not a customer. That is why an existing garage can sell for less than replacement cost and still be a bad purchase. The cheaper building may need repairs. Its entrance may be awkward. A nearby office may be losing workers. A shopping destination may be weakening. The advertised rate may look high, while discounts, taxes, and empty hours reduce what the spaces actually earn. The price of the structure is only one side of the bet. The other side is what happens around it after you buy. Now look at how one stall makes money. At 7 in the morning, a monthly commuter takes it under a fixed payment. At noon, that same stall could have served a shopper or a patient. At 6 in the evening, it could have gone to somebody attending a game, concert, or conference at a much higher rate. The owner cannot sell all three versions at once. This is where time-based pricing enters. The rate board does not have to show the same number at every hour. A garage can charge more when nearby demand is concentrated and lower the price when large sections would otherwise sit unused. Reservations can also turn an uncertain event crowd into known arrivals before the first car reaches the entrance. But pricing has limits. Raise the rate too far and a driver may choose another garage, curb parking, transit, walking, or ride hail. Cut it too far and the building can become busier without earning enough to carry its cost. The goal is not the highest possible price and not the fullest possible garage. It is the strongest realized revenue from the time and capacity available without confusing customers or driving away the trips the location can actually win. Monthly parking gives stability. A commuter, resident, or nearby business pays a recurring amount for access through the month. The payment may arrive even when that customer parks less often than expected. In a weak walk-up market, those permits can keep large sections of the garage from producing nothing. Transient parking gives turnover. One driver enters, pays for a short stay, leaves, and allows the same space to be sold again. Event parking concentrates demand into a few hours when thousands of people arrive at the same destination at the same time. Reservations, validations, hotel arrangements, hospital contracts, and university permits add more versions of the same product. From the sidewalk, every customer looks like a car. To the owner, one may be a predictable monthly payment, another may be the third sale of the same stall that day, and another may be a rare event rate that will not return for weeks. A monthly permit can protect the owner during slow periods, but it can also occupy a stall when event customers are willing to pay more. Transient customers may produce more revenue in a strong location, but they can disappear with weather, tourism, office attendance, event schedules, or competition. Counting cars answers only half the question. The other half is what each occupied hour actually earned. The same is true of validations and institutional agreements. A hotel may promise guests convenient access. A hospital may need reliable parking for employees and visitors. A retailer may cover part of the charge to make a trip easier for customers. Those arrangements can reduce the amount collected from an individual driver while protecting a larger, repeat stream of visits. This is why the person at the payment machine is not always the relationship that matters most. A contract with the building next door can influence thousands of separate parking sessions without that building ever driving through the gate. Parking inventory expires continuously. If nobody uses a stall at 10 in the morning, the owner cannot put that unused hour on a shelf and sell it tomorrow. The space may fill later, but the morning revenue is gone. This creates a number that looks reassuring and often is not. Occupancy. Imagine two hypothetical garages. The first sells 500 monthly permits at $250 each. That produces $125,000 in gross monthly revenue. The second serves 300 transient parking sessions per day at an average realized charge of $20 over 26 active days. That produces $156,000 in gross monthly revenue. The first garage may look fuller when you walk through it. More cars are sitting still. The second may repeatedly fill and empty, so fewer cars are visible at any one moment. Yet the second collects more gross parking revenue in this example. That does not make transient parking universally better. It makes fullness incomplete. The owner still needs the price, the duration, the turnover, the discount, and the time of day. Go back to the San Francisco garage in 2018. A busy level could make the business look secure, but the cars were not arriving because concrete existed. They were arriving for offices, shops, hotels, meetings, and other destinations around it. At this point, that difference is easy to miss because the building still looks like the center of the transaction. Then the bills begin. The lights have to remain on across the property. Stairwells need cleaning. Elevators require service. Cameras and payment machines need attention. Water has to drain. Lines need repainting. Security still covers the garage when only a few vehicles are inside. Walker Consultants reported a median annual operating cost of $783 per space across more than 300 multi-level above-ground garages. That figure covered routine items such as electricity, cleaning, minor repairs, striping, insurance, and maintenance. It did not include debt service or major rehabilitation. For a 300-space garage, the benchmark implies about $234,900 in routine annual expense. Now return to the downtown garage after traffic has fallen. The upper levels may be emptier, but the elevator still reaches them. The lights still cover them. The ramps still have to be inspected. A vacant floor does not become free simply because fewer tires cross it. And concrete does not send a neat monthly bill. A joint begins leaking, water reaches steel inside the structure, a traffic membrane wears down. An elevator needs more frequent service. The owner can postpone work and show stronger cash flow for a while. Then an engineer closes part of a level. The garage loses earning capacity at the exact moment it needs a large repair. Picture the owner making that choice in a quiet year. Closing part of a level for repairs means fewer spaces to sell today. Leaving it open preserves current capacity and delays the expense. For a few months, the second option can look better on paper. But water does not care about the reporting period. The work that was delayed becomes more expensive, and the customer eventually sees the result in stained concrete, blocked stalls, unreliable elevators, or a level wrapped in repair barriers. This is why the reserve is not dead money sitting beside the business. It is part of the cost of keeping tomorrow's inventory available. Walker recommended setting aside at least 1% of initial construction cost each year for future capital work, increasing that amount as construction costs rise. It is a planning recommendation rather than a universal rule. On the $12,600,000 example, 1% would be $126,000 a year. Add that reserve to the routine operating benchmark, and the total reaches roughly $360,900 before land, debt, property tax, owner overhead, or a major surprise. This is also where the operator matters. San Francisco described an older arrangement in which garage operators received one comprehensive fee, paid expenses from it, and kept what remained. The city said that structure encouraged reduced maintenance and contributed to deterioration. The financial report could improve while the building quietly got worse. The gate system protects a different part of the business. Ticket machines, cameras, license plate recognition, reservation software, and auditing tools track who entered, how long they stayed, what rate applied, and whether the payment was collected. San Francisco says modern systems improve revenue security, provide real-time data, and support more flexible pricing. Now put that system under pressure. A sold-out event ends. Hundreds of drivers reach their cars, engines start, brake lights stack up on the ramps. One exit machine stops processing payments, and suddenly a small equipment failure has trapped a crowd inside the product they already paid to leave. Automation can reduce leakage and labor. It cannot remove customer service, security, cleaning, maintenance, or the need for someone to fix the gate. Local rules take another piece of attention. San Francisco imposes a 25% tax on off-street parking charges, collected and remitted by the operator. The tax sits on the customer's parking charge, so it is not simply 1/4 removed from every previously stated revenue number. It still changes the final price, the accounting, the compliance work, and how far the owner can raise rates before drivers choose another option. Then there is the loan. Walker modeled a project costing $42,000 per space, financed over 30 years at 5%, with $1,000 per space in annual operating and capital maintenance costs. Under those assumptions, each space needed to generate about $309 per month to break even before land. Change the interest rate, the loan term, the construction cost, or the operating expense, and the break-even number moves. The garage still has to earn enough to carry whatever structure was actually financed. This is the point where a busy garage can become dangerous. If the purchase or construction price requires near-perfect use, a modest decline in traffic does not produce a modest problem. Debt, maintenance, taxes, and much of the operating system remain while the revenue side contracts, which brings us back to Fifth and Mission. In 2018, about 1,240,000 short-stay motorists used the garage. 6 years later, roughly 754,000 of those annual visits were gone. First, ride-hail services had already reduced some parking demand. Then the pandemic sharply reduced downtown activity. Hybrid work meant fewer commuters arriving every weekday. Major retail closures removed reasons to visit the area. Monthly reservations weakened. The garage could adjust rates, improve reservations, clean the stairwells, and keep the gates working. But it could not replace the missing destinations. By 2024, short-stay traffic had fallen by 61%, and reported revenue or earnings had dropped to just under $7,800,000. The visible consequence was not dramatic destruction. It was space, rows of expensive capacity waiting through hours that would never be sold again. Now the economics become clear. The garage controls the supply of parking. Demand is produced by the places around it. An office creates the commuter. A hospital creates staff, patients, and visitors. A hotel creates guests. An arena creates crowds. A university creates students and employees. Restaurants and shops create shorter visits. The garage captures part of those journeys, but it rarely creates their purpose. That means the most important economic relationship may be with someone who never takes a ticket. It may be the employer across the street, the hospital connected by a walkway, the hotel sending guests, or the venue filling the neighborhood at night. When that destination changes its schedule, relocates, closes, or attracts fewer people, the drivers disappear before they ever become garage customers. Fifth and Mission does not prove that parking demand is collapsing everywhere. San Francisco later projected citywide parking tax revenue approaching pre-pandemic levels even while some downtown garages remained far below their earlier use. Demand can move between neighborhoods, trip purposes, and customer types. There is also a difference between a garage that is empty in a predictable way and one that is empty because its market has weakened. An arena facility may sit quiet on a Tuesday afternoon because the owner is waiting for Friday night. That unused capacity is part of a known calendar. An office garage that used to fill every weekday and suddenly does not is facing a different problem. One has concentrated demand. The other has lost a pattern it was built and financed to expect. Both facilities may show empty rows in the same photograph, but one is waiting for scheduled demand and the other is waiting for demand that may not return. That is why two nearly identical structures can behave like different businesses. An office garage lives by the weekday commute. It may fill early, empty after work, and struggle at night and on weekends. A hospital garage follows shifts, appointments, visitors, and emergencies. An arena garage may sit quiet for long stretches, then fill rapidly before an event. A mixed-use garage can serve office workers in the morning, shoppers and patients during the day, restaurant customers in the evening, residents at night, and event traffic on weekends. The more different reasons people have to arrive, the less one missing reason can empty the building. You can see the difference on a 24-hour clock. The office garage has one tall morning wave and one evening exit. The hospital garage has smaller waves crossing through shifts, appointments, and visiting hours. The arena garage may show almost nothing, then one sharp spike. The mixed-use garage never reaches the same dramatic peak, but it keeps finding another customer after the last one leaves. For the owner, a lower peak can be worth more when it lasts longer and arrives more often. This is what a useful location actually means, not simply a famous address or an expensive block. It means durable trip generators, easy road access, clear pedestrian connections, pricing customers understand, exits that work under pressure, and demand spread across enough hours to support the structure. A garage can still fail in a strong district if the owner pays too much. Replacement cost is not market value. Land appreciation is not spendable parking income. A property can become more valuable on paper while the garage operation struggles to cover electricity, repairs, taxes, and debt. So look at two versions of the same 300 space building. In the strong version, the price is supported by current demand rather than a future development that may never open. Debt remains manageable if utilization falls. Monthly customers provide a stable base, but enough capacity remains available for valuable transient and event demand. Several nearby destinations produce different waves of traffic. The payment system records revenue accurately. The garage is easy to enter, easy to leave, visibly maintained, and safe enough that customers do not avoid it. The owner funds repairs before the building forces the decision. In the weak version, recent traffic is treated as permanent. The buyer uses heavy debt because the lower levels appear full. Most customers depend on one office, one mall, one employer, or one venue. Discounted permits create activity without enough yield. Nights and weekends contribute little. Repairs are delayed because the cash is needed somewhere else. Then the destination weakens. Rates are cut to keep cars coming. Less money remains for maintenance. A level closes. The garage becomes less attractive while nearby alternatives become easier to choose. The property can stay open through the entire decline, collecting some money and hiding how far the economics have moved. Now extend those two versions through one difficult year. The strong garage loses one source of traffic, but the hospital still sends visitors, the restaurants still fill evenings, and weekend events still create bursts. The owner can adjust the mix, offer more monthly access in weak periods, preserve spaces for higher value windows, and continue funding repairs without immediately threatening the loan. The weak garage loses its dominant office customer. Monthly permits disappear first. Transient traffic never arrives to replace them because there is no second reason to visit. The owner cuts rates, but cheaper parking cannot create a meeting, appointment, meal, or event. The building begins competing for journeys that are no longer happening. One garage is enduring a slow period. The other has lost the economic pattern it was built around. A talented operator can improve pricing, reservations, cleanliness, traffic flow, and revenue control. Those things decide how well the garage captures the demand available to it. They cannot create the journey. So, does owning a parking garage work? Yes, when the owner pays a price the current traffic can support, carries debt the property can survive, protects the structure, and depends on several durable reasons for people to arrive. The strongest garage is not the one that looks full for one photograph. It is the one that earns across different hours from different customers without using future repair money to make today look better. The weak garage is permanent capacity built around traffic that was assumed to be permanent. Return to the entrance from the beginning. The camera reads the plate, the machine measures the stay, the correct charge appears, the tax is added. The payment clears, and the gate lifts. That system can capture a journey perfectly. It cannot cause one. What you would really own is an expensive structure waiting beside other people's reasons to arrive, with every empty hour disappearing whether the concrete moves or not.